All right. It is a little after 7 o'clock. Is this on? Can you hear me?
They're dead. They're on.
Hello? Hello?
No. There we go. Hear me? Okay, great. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our February 2024 meeting for the City of Troy Zoning Board of Appeals. My name is Mike Bossenbrook. I'm the chair of the board, and I guess Happy New Year to the board. This is our first meeting since, I think, November of last year, so welcome back, everyone. Hope everyone's having a good new year, off to a good start. We have one item on the agenda tonight, so let's get started with our agenda, which the first item is our roll call. So, Ms. Ferenz, whenever you're ready, if you can call the roll for us.
Mr. Bossenbrook,
I'm here.
Mr. Desmond,
Here.
Mr. Eisenbacher will be late. Mr. Fox,
Here.
Mr. McCauley,
Here.
Mr. Forster,
Here.
Mr. Green.
Here.
All right, very good. Next will be our reading of our procedure. And for that, I will turn to my immediate right for our Vice Chair, Mr. Desmond, if you could read the rules of procedure for us tonight.
The Zoning Board of Appeals is a group of 7 of your neighbors appointed by the Troy City Council to decide on requests for variances and other matters that are brought before them. A variance is a relaxation of the literal provisions of the zoning ordinance. Applicants must indicate a hardship or practical difficulty with the land that would warrant the granting of the variance. The board will hear the items in order that they appear on the approved agenda. When an item is called, the chairperson will verify that the applicant is present. Then the city administration will summarize the facts of the case. If there's less than a full board of 7 members present at a meeting, an applicant may request a postponement so his or her request can be heard by a full board. If there is no request for a postponement, the applicant will then be given an opportunity to address the board to explain the justification for the action requested. After the applicant makes their presentation and answers any questions that the board may have, the chairperson will open the public hearing. Any person wishing to speak on the request should raise their hand, and when recognized by the chairperson, come up to the podium. The speaker should identify themselves with name and address, indicate their relationship to the property in question, i.e. next door neighbor, live behind property, etc., and state whether they are in favor of or against the variance request and give reasons for their opinion. Comments must be directed through the chairperson. Comments should be kept as brief as possible and closely pertain to the matter under consideration. Only one person will be recognized by the chairperson to speak at one time. At the conclusion of public comments, the chairperson will close the public hearing. Once the public hearing is closed, no other public comment will be taken unless in response to a specific question by a member of the board. The board will then make a motion to approve, deny, or postpone the request. In order for the request to pass, a minimum of 4 votes are needed. If the request is not granted, the applicant has the right to appeal the board's decision to Oakland County Circuit Court.
All right, thank you, Mr. Desmond. That takes us to the third item, which is the approval of our minutes from our last meeting from November of 2023. Unless there is any discussion on the minutes as were printed, would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Fox. And I second that motion.
I second it.
Thank you, Mr. McCauley. Seconded. Unless there's any further discussion on the minutes, Mrs. Ferenz, if you could call the roll on the motion to approve the minutes.
Mr. Bossenbrook,
Yes.
Mr. Desmond,
Yes.
Mr. Fox,
Yes.
Mr. McCauley,
Yes.
Mr. Forster,
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
All right, the minutes from November of 2023 have been approved by a vote of 6-0. We will now move on to the fourth item, which is approval of tonight's agenda, which has been printed out. And unless there's any discussion about tonight's printed agenda, we'll go ahead and consider that approved. All right, we'll consider approved. And just note for the record, Mr. Eisenbacher has joined us, so we now have a full panel to hear our next case. That takes us to the fifth item, which is the hearing of the case 5A, which is the variance request at 5268 Crowfoot. And so we'll start with the presentation from the city. Mr. Carlisle, if you could, when you're ready, walk us through an overview of this variance request.
Yes, the site is located on, excuse me. The site is located at 5268, 66 Crowfeet. The applicant is seeking a variance to put a 3-room or season addition onto their existing structure. You'll note that there's an existing deck located in the general location under which the addition's going to go. That will be removed, and because they are adding a addition to the house, it now becomes part of the principal structure, and that's the reason why they need the variance. The required setback is 40 feet along the rear yard, and they are encroaching, they're going to encroach 9 feet into that for a 31-foot setback for the length of the addition. The applicant did provide elevations as well as a site plan of the project for your review. The site plan is shown on the last sheet of the set, which is on page 33 in your packet. I will note it's not to scale by any means, but it does show dimensions of where the proposed addition is going to go and what the setback request is going to be. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Carlisle. Is there any questions that members of the board may have for city staff at this point? All right, not seeing any questions arising. At this point, we will invite the applicant or their representative, if you want to please step forward to the podium, up to the microphone, if you could introduce yourself and your relationship to the property, and we would be happy to listen. Thanks.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Howard Brophy. I'm a design consultant for patio enclosures and Great Day Improvements. I'm here with the Johns, Philip and Janesh. They are the homeowners in this case, and I'm here to just describe, why we feel and hope the variance is going to be approved. So there are other homes on their street that already have the same kind of sunroom. They received variances in 1992 and 2001 for those. There are others in the neighborhood that also received variances. So it's not a new thing for the neighborhood. So this is going to be placed in the back of the house. There is no other really practical area to place it. There's no room in the side yards. So the back is well screened. There's a school behind them. And they have mature cedar trees that are there, screening the room when it would go in. We have, done a lot of the planning, as you can see from the elevations, and I've provided pictures of those homes that are that currently have the sunrooms. Could I take any questions?
Do any members of the board, Mr. Desmond?
Are there any characteristics of the land and property itself that create a practical difficulty for hardship that require the variance?
Well, with the back setback of 40, that's not really any allowance to add living space that's back there. The yard does match the other homes that are on that side of the street with the 40-foot setback. But the side yards are narrow, so there really isn't any other place we could put it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Fox?
Have you guys had any communication with the school behind the house?
We have not, no.
Okay.
No, the school's got a large playground area set back from the school itself.
Okay.
So,
Any other members of the board wish to ask some questions? All right, Mr. Eisenbacher.
Then the request is for a 10-foot by 12-foot. The short dimension is, looking at the prints, looks like it is the dimension that you're extending into the setback, right?
Correct, and we actually amended the width to 14 feet, so it's going to be 10 feet extending back and then 14 feet wide.
Okay. Is there a size that's smaller that's practical? And if not, what would be the reason why it's not practical?
Well, 10 feet, when you get furniture in there and the way they want to use the room, we make rooms of all different sizes. We do make rooms that are, narrow and long. We make rooms that are, large and square. It just always depends on the situation and the location of the house itself and the yard itself. So in this case, this size seemed to best fit what they want. That's how we designed it.
So this is one of the smaller or bigger that you normally construct?
I would say this is average, actually. It's about the average, 10 by 14, 12 by 12, somewhere in there is what we build most, but we also do solariums that are 20 by 40. So it just depends on the homeowner, what they want.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Nope, I think we're satisfied.
All right, thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your time. All right, we've heard from the applicant. I will now open time for public comment. I don't believe there's anything in the packet.
There is
Was there something I
there's
missed?
a letter. Scott, is Rin from 5282 Crowfoot Drive wrote a letter in support of granting the variance. Up, it was right there. Down, right there. Oh, looks like there might be more.
I think there were 2 letters included in the packet.
2 letters,
Oh,
okay. One is for the 5254, and one is 5292, 82?
82.
82, okay. And I don't have anything else in front of me, so I think that would conclude the written public comment, and I don't see anyone coming forward to speak on it, so I will close the public hearing on this request and take it back to the board now for consideration. If any member of the board wants to be recognized to discuss or move in some fashion. Are you asking to? Oh, Mr. McCauley.
At this point in time, I think this is pretty much it's pretty straightforward, and it's not intrusive, and there are other variances that have been in the past, even though they have no bearing on this application. And looking at them, that I think that the only place they can put it, and it's not intrusive, they have support of their neighbors, there's nothing behind them that would make it difficult. The yard is a little bit shallow in depth, so I think that is part of our exceptional characteristics of the property. So at this point in time, I would like to request that the applicant and the address of, what was it, 5268 Crowfoot, for their request be granted for the following reasons: that the exceptional characteristics of property, the variance is sought made compliant with the dimensions. It is, like I said, a little bit shorter than most yards. The characteristics which make compliance with the dimensional requirements difficult must be related to the premise. They are. The characteristics which make compliance with the dimensional requirements shall not be of a personal nature. They really aren't. They're for the betterment of the home. The characteristics which make compliance with dimensional requirements difficult must not have been created by them or the previous owner. They weren't. It was the layout from the builder. And the last one, E, the proposed variance will not be harmful or shall not be, or alter the essential characteristics of the area in which the property is located. I don't
Second.
believe.
Oh, sorry. I jumped ahead.
He's ahead of me. Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, you were done.
I'm done.
That was the second.
Okay, so we have a motion from Mr. McCauley to grant the variance, seconded by Mr. Desmond. Is there any other discussion or comment from board members? Mr. Green?
Just as an additional note, speaking to it not being of a personal nature, this isn't an addition for the purpose of adding, it adds livable space, I suppose, but this isn't for adding bedrooms. It's a Three Seasons room, so it expands for leisure, recreation, entertainment, similar to pools and others that are up and down that stretch. So I support that as another factor for it being not a personal request.
Okay, any other members of the board? Okay. Mr. Eisenbacher.
Yeah, also, we didn't talk about, but there's an existing deck there already, so it's not really an additional intrusion. It just encloses it, so it's useful for more than just summer.
Agreed.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. McCauley.
Just a note, as I was out there today looking at it, it is 6 feet shorter, the space that they want compared to the deck.
Okay. All right. I will have to say that I do not support the variance request. I do not think there's an exceptional characteristic to the property. I think the property looks identical to the vast majority of other parcels in the subdivision, so I don't see anything exceptional about it, dimensionally or otherwise. So I'll leave it at that. I don't think that criteria has been met. But at this point, I think we are ready for a vote unless there's another member of the board that wishes to discuss. I don't think we need to prolong it. So Ms. Ferenz, when you are prepared, this is a motion to grant, so that would be a yes, and a no would be to deny the variance.
Mr. Fox?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Forster?
Yes.
Mr. McCauley?
Yes.
Mr. Eisenbacher?
Yes.
Mr. Desmond?
Yes.
Mr. Bassenbrook?
No. All right. That is the vote. We have 6 in favor of the motion, so your variance request is granted, pardon me. So congratulations. Thank you for coming out tonight and presenting to us. With that, we will move on to the 6th item. Are there any communications, Mr. Fox?
Just an update from the Planning Commission. Last night, City Council took a vote. I believe they formally rejected the master plan and sent it back to the Planning Commission for further review, was the official motion.
Yes, so after long discussion and really good deliberation, the council passed a resolution to deny is really the wrong term. It's what the term is under. Unfortunately, it's a term that's in the Enabling Act, but really it wasn't a denial. It was sent back to the Planning Commission for further study of 2 particular areas of the city that have been under some scrutiny and review. So Planning Commission will look at those 2 areas and get a change or amendment to the master plan back to the City Council as soon as possible. I know the City Council wants to wrap this up, and so Planning Commission's been charged to really move quickly on this amendment.
Okay. And I'm sure we plan to, so.
All right. Thank you for the update. Appreciate that. If there's no other communications, I don't know there's any miscellaneous business this month listed, so we'll move to item number 8. If there's any further public comment. Not seeing any requests for public comment, so that will bring us to adjournment, and we will see us perhaps next month.